Kingsman: The Secret Service is directed by Matthew Vaughn and stars Taron Egerton? Is that his name? Colin Firth, Samuel L. Jackson, and some other supporting actors like Mark Strong and Michael Caine. In the beginning of this movie, one of the Kingsmen dies, and so Colin Firth has to put up a new person to become a Kingsman. He has his protege, and so he chooses Taron Egerton, who is the son of a fallen Kingsman. And he's kind of like lost his way in life, drugs, petty crime, as Colin Firth says, and he believes that he is Kingsman material. And soon the Kingsmen will have to fight against Samuel L. Jackson as Richmond Valentine. I actually really love Matthew Vaughn, especially his recent work, Kick-Ass and X-Men First Class. X-Men First Class is one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't care what anybody says. It is a fantastic movie. I love that movie with all my heart and soul. And so I was super excited for this movie. And while I can't say I was disappointed per se, this was not as good as I was hoping it was going to be. Of course, let's talk about some of the good things. Colin Firth is a complete badass in this movie. I actually thought this is one of, like, maybe not his best role, of course not. He's done some fantastic work. But this has made it definitely his most fun role, because he just gets to kick ass in this movie, and it's so much fun to watch. And Samuel L. Jackson has, with his lisp, oh my gosh, he was so much fun to watch. It's like an old school Bond villain, but about as three-dimensional as a Bond villain would probably get before the sky falls and the Casino Royales. I was surprised how good Taron Egerton is in this movie. I didn't really know. That seemed to be the big wild card for me. I knew Colin Firth was going to be good, and Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, they're freaking Colin Firth and Samuel L. Jackson. But I've never even heard of this guy, and he was fantastic. I thought he was going toe-to-toe with these great actors, and I want to see what he'll do next. Maybe Spider-Man. The action scenes are so well done. It's one of the things that Matthew Vaughn has always been good at, and what he's generally cited at being really good at. They're a little bit interestingly shot. They're very different, but I liked it. It took a while to get used to it, but there is a great scene early on in the bar that's actually been released as like a clip from the movie, where Colin Firth beats up these people who have beef with Eggsy, who is Taron Egerton's character, and it is a fantastic scene. I loved that scene. It was one of my favorites in the entire movie. I also loved this blend of like spy movies with kind of like a graphic novel kind of feel, because that's what Matthew Vaughn is generally good at. We've seen him do that with like Kick-Ass and X-Men First Class of comic books. But you can tell that he just loves old-school spy movies. They talk about it in the film. Samuel L. Jackson talking about how much he loves old-school Bonds, and Colin Firth agrees with him. And like most film fans, I love the old-school Bonds as well. So it was really great to see that mix of kind of the graphic novel kind of style of filmmaking we see today. And it was an interesting blend, and I don't think we really see that blend a lot. So the film felt original, even though, like, we've seen the story before. That's what's kind of odd about this movie when I think about it, is because even though I just called it original, I don't think the film is very special. It doesn't really stand out to me. I don't feel like when I'm looking back at this and be like, oh yeah, Kingsman. But at the end of the year, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, what's my favorite films of the year? I'm not going to think, oh yeah, Kingsman: The Secret Service. That needs to be there. It's not saying it's forgettable, because I feel like there's got a lot of really fun things that are just fun and great, and there are moments of greatness in this film. But overall, I think there's something impactful about it. I wasn't like, oh man, this is so great. It was just like, this is a good movie. Also, there are two scenes I have big problems with. I'm not going to necessarily spoil them. I'm going to vaguely talk about them. So there is a scene around the end of the second act of the movie that I have incredibly mixed thoughts on, and it seems like that scene will divide you whether or not you really like this movie or not. Because it seems like the people who are giving this bad scores cite that scene as a problem, a big problem in the movie that would take them out of it completely. And there are people who are saying it's their favorite scene in the movie and that they loved it. And for me, I was kind of in the middle. I didn't hate it per se, and I didn't really like it. It was kind of uncomfortable, but at the same time well shot, which might actually be a problem of how stylized it is. But the end of the scene was amazing, and that was the highlight of it. But everything behind it was kind of and it gives me a bad taste in my mouth, even though if I didn't really hate it. Finally, the pacing can be a bit of a problem. I wouldn't say it drags, but it can be a bit slow, and maybe it should be faster because it's supposed to be like a fun scene, and it's really not. And it's just too long. It's a 2-hour and 10-minute movie, and you could easily cut about 15 minutes out of this movie, and it would be fantastic, and I'd probably love it. But as it stands, I do not love this movie. You know, it is a good movie, and I don't think this is gonna like tarnish Matthew Vaughn in my mind. But I mean, this is his weakest movie since Kick-Ass, so hey, but you're going up against tough competition there. So after all that, I mean, it doesn't like I hate this movie, so I'm going to give Kingsman: The Secret Service a B. I think this is a well done movie, even though it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. Of course, like always, I want to hear from you guys. What did you think of Kingsman: The Secret Service? I hope you saw it instead of 50 Shades of Crap. And it seems like a decent number of people want to see this movie. It made a $42 million opening. For an R-rated action movie, that is a good number. But 50 Shades of Crap having 94 million, that's depressing. But anyways, comment below, did you like Kingsman: The Secret Service? And if you know what scene I'm talking about, how about you tell me what you thought of it, because I'm very curious about what other people will say about it. Because I feel like some people just, I know people already who just love the scene, and I don't get it personally, but hey. And now, of course, if you like it, thumbs up button down there. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.